they understood the reason that we would be looking at the request for proposal due to district costs and saving money and where we were with individual rooms and contracting that out. But yeah, we sat down with them, and I felt that it was a good meeting that we had. We all shared, we talked, we had a good conversation, and mixed reaction. Some felt really good, and they said, I don't want that PCERS money going to PCERS. I want to be able to use that PCERS money and let me invest that. And this would provide that for them. Others said, I really like Littlestown, and I want to keep working here. And they said, we want you to keep working here.
The big hang-up part of the complexity and the complications is the PCERS. Most of the bus drivers, I think, if not all, are above 65 years old, so they, contributing to PCERS with, they can't even get the long retirement from PCERS was 7 years? Oh, 10 years now. So they'd have to drive till they were 75 before they would even get a penny back that's been put in their name.
So there's no way that we can.
And that's the law.
They can't opt out.
Now, if there's a way to get us, be able to opt out on that, we would probably make every school district in the state of Pennsylvania happy because they could probably get some bus drivers. So, we've been fighting this one for 11 years. Okay, any more questions on that subject? Okay, on to the next one. Under the priorities. This falls on the priorities of legal protection advice. This is B. Approve the contract for continuation of the legal services for Saxton and Stump. I can't think of a whole lot of complexities or complications in this, but what questions do we have?
Carl, I read the contract. Just for clarification, if they walk away mine, it appeared to me that the rates stayed the same, and then down below they went up.
They went for the following year.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. But our firm's practice is we're hired at the will of the board, so every year we send an annual engagement letter that establishes the terms and conditions of representation for the next fiscal year. We typically send that letter in May, but here, since the law firm is stock and leader, all of us, including Saxton and Stump, and we had an engagement immediately with Saxton and Stump, we thought we would put it all into one letter for the remainder of this year and accomplish our annual renewal as well. That way it only has to come to you guys one time as opposed to 2 letters in 2 months.
Okay. The next one is under our policy of contracts and priorities. Recommend approval of the water treatment plant. Normal policy. Anybody have any questions? I don't see any issues with complications or complexities to that one. Just an annual renovation. Dodgers for policy not 7 to 7. Because it's a Sunday, we've got to approve it. Anybody have any questions to that one? Donation falls under policy 7 to 2. Anonymous, we got thank them. And then payment of invoices is policy 600 and 900. And treasurer's report falls under our policy. Any questions or concerns or complications on any of those areas? On to the personnel report. For policy, we have to approve these resignations. The only one that I see the complication is Matthew Braden, a math teacher, was leaving a little early. I don't think we're having any more basketball after April 1st. So, that's that one. Does anybody have any questions on those 3? Under D, policy 300 says staff hires. We need to approve that one. Pending the clearances, any clearance or the pending clearances done? Have we gotten them back yet? Or? Okay. So by Monday.
Probably.
Anybody have any questions? We haven't gotten that far yet.
No, not there.
We're on
Covered
bid.
in all of them.
But John was with us before, right? For a brief period, like,
He was on and then came off. He had some personal.
but he had clearances then before, didn't he?
He was still working for them, I think.
Okay.
He had a brief, came back up where he left off the last.
I think that's what I was. Okay. Now to see, policy 300, Ms. Gorman.
I just want to acknowledge that Ms. Carmen, when I was on the board as a kid, remember that a couple of years ago? So I was a little shocked. But yeah.
Well, complexities we have, are we replacing?
I
Are we
know.
replacing her?
We're keeping her, we will be replacing her.
We were replacing a kindergarten teacher.
All right, well, they're all award winning.
We'll do our best.
Is there any other questions? Under D, policy says we gotta approve the net workers. I don't see any issues, anybody see any complications? They're all current employees. Under the athletic director, volunteers for 906, for pending one, Brittany Steele. Oh, that was,
So if the board recalls, we did have a little bit of a complexity with that. We had a request to be part of Mini-Con, and a chaperone at Mini-Con. All clearances were provided. It was a special situation, and the information came to us about a day after our board meeting. I think the board may have received that email. Policy did allow, does allow the superintendent to approve that pending approval at the next board meeting. So I was able to provide Brittany Steele with a letter letting her know and confirmation that she could attend Mini-Con. She was approved for that event, and it was pending this board approval. So she was at Mini-Con, and I believe it was a very good success.
and I'd like to see Mr. Healy here, who just came on board, and now he's volunteering in the athletics and wrestling. So, Mr. Moran is under 916 volunteer status. It says Tammy Sterner approving that one. Anybody see any problems there? Okay. And under policies, we have to approve these 4 drivers for Lincoln. I don't see any problems with that.
Yeah, Carl, can I ask a question about
Sure.
that, if you don't mind? I've noticed we've been approving a lot of Lincoln contract drivers. Is this bringing more on, or are these just some?
Yeah, the board is required to approve all drivers.
Okay.
They can change drivers.
Okay, that's cool. That's all.
So in other words, it looks like they're having problems too if we're replacing.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. That's why I asked that. Thank you, Tom.
So whether that RFP will be the same thing. Okay. Judy's got an overnight stay, which policy says we gotta approve it. Any problems, complexities, questions? All right, policy 300, we have to approve the leave of absence without pay. The problem with this one and the complexity is, it is a cafeteria worker that has no time off. They have to, the only way they get it is this way, so. This is our, what, 4th time in 4 months? Probably more. So I might, with this, we might have to have policy review a way to correct this. Because if we don't need to bring this up when these people aren't even getting paid. So that might be something.
How many hours?
45.
Correct. Cafeteria. Yeah, they monitor the cafeteria, and they just don't have any time.
Yeah.
And then, Ron J, an expulsion waiver. Does anybody have any
That's
questions?
actually expulsion period.
That's acceptance. That's
So
it.
it's
It's
hearing.
everything. It's a hearing waiver and acceptance of terms.
Right. But it sounds like they're.
They're waiving the right to a hearing.
Which, after we get to the last one, please. So that's That's under our policy 200. And then the last one for this little section is policy 300. It's about, we have respiratory health and professional development. They're very complex. Does anybody need anything on those? If they would, they'd be executive session. So. That's what we're changing. We're sort of changing things up just a little.
Well, you're reading stuff too, so I'm a little confused because normally it's the head teacher. So I'm like, I feel like I'm getting lost.
Ray gives a little bit of advice, and I'll try to explain. He's trying to let us attach everything to it to come in a different angle so that the public knows what we're doing it, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it. And I'm glad you picked up on the fact that we're picking up a different angle, and that's what we're trying to do it. Next time, those guys are going to have to do it, and the same thing, that they're going to have to pick the
Oh,
policy.
in the committee.
In the committees is where it's going to go to, and anytime as a board, we're going to do the same thing. That Nick and Steve will be doing it the same thing.
So you're just leading.
So you
Leading-
can start
leading-
acknowledging,
Just
you
example.
can start acknowledging them on the actual agenda, like, left hand side or in that.
We haven't discussed that part yet. I'll be honest, I have a cheat sheet today.
It might be helpful.
I think it would be very helpful if they had to do it themselves, but knowing what policy it falls under and where it falls under and all that is something that is very helpful, so.
Yes, it is very helpful. Yep.
And that's where we're at, so. But my cheat sheet stopped because somebody didn't finish with the last part, so, per policy, we have to review.
Yeah, the agenda, you put it up.
No, we just discussed this today. We literally just discussed it with Ray today. Under our policies and abilities to keeping things up, we're under the curriculum code breaking part, being more up to date with our policies and changing them this way. And this follows our priorities that the board set since we took over going with PSP policies. So, does anybody have a problem with section A? Okay. I don't see any questions. I don't see any complexities in that. The next one is another priority as part of our graduation requirements. So, that complications, do you, any complications?
What, letter B?
Yeah.
B, wrong B.
No complications, it's just an additional opportunity for our students to be present.
Any questions? So we're breaking it down, and then the last one, basically what we're doing is we're doing the situation, the complication, the complexities with it, and then the question and answer. So there's that time for it. That's what we're, and then the recommendation will be so that's. And then last one, again, our policy to approve and our priority keeping up to date. This is the last one. I don't see any issues, any complexities, problems in that. Anybody have any questions? Going on? Okay, Brian, did you want to go over that now, or you want to wait?
I can do either. It's up to you guys. You want to hear it now? I'll just repeat it next week. Okay, so, yeah,
Repeat it, because we hear it
It
twice.
gives us time to think about things too.
Yeah, ACI is going well. Mr. Eckenrode decided to stay for a year. He's going to remain and welcome on eventually the new director. But before we hire a new director, we've opened up, we created a new space for the assistant to the director, which will be an administrator's squad. That person will be in charge of the day-to-day operations of acting. That way, the director can be the director and start looking forward to, property, school plans, expanding programs, all those sorts of things, engaging with business and industry, local business and industry, and do everything the director should be doing, trying to bring those people into acting. That person will need a principal certificate to be the assistant to the director, and we're going to start that next month, in the summer, I think. And that one goes out at the end of this month. We will begin to post that and look for, people. I also expect within, not within, in the near future, we will probably be discussing, though we'll be bringing plan to the board, to DOC, and we'll start discussing what we're going to purchase. I suspect that'll happen in the next couple of months. There are numerous plots of property that they're looking at. We got kind of bogged down because, well, they bring us property and one or two get sold off and before we get a chance to look at it, and then one or two get put back on. And so it's just sort of this rotation, but sooner or later, and I think it's going to happen sooner, we're just going to have to go with what they have available and which meets certain criteria. So I expect that to happen too. Like I said, I expect that to happen in the near future.
Are they looking to anywhere in Littlestown, or
No.
are they looking for a certain area?
We are looking for a certain area. The board, well, they determined a sort of little triangle, which was sort of central for all the school DOC members to have somewhat, distance to. Now, if we find a fantastic property outside of that triangle, I am sure that if it works, we will go with that property. Absolutely. I think at some point you just say, to act with it, we have to move. We can't wait for the perfect property. For anybody who was kicking around the rumor about purchasing the Hanover Mall, that was wrong. Never a consideration.
Well, never a consideration.
Never a consideration.
With JOC.
Never a consideration with the JOC and JOC's final authority.
Gone for that anyway.
Yeah. No, I would not have gone,
Family.
we would not have voted to send Adams County money into York County. Okay?
So you're saying that position, because I think, it was thought that it was an administrative assistant, but if that's
The
not a
assistant
right-
to the director, that is
so
correct.
That's not a right title.
That is,
different.
yeah,
Okay.
that's the title that they wanted to use. It is more of a principal's position. They will run the day, nobody understands how much Mr. Eckenrode has done over the last 6 years. That man really, he was the backbone, the legs, he was everything to that place. He did everything. He did the director's job, he did the assistant principal's job, the principal's job. That man, lived, yeah, what's that?
And even the janitor job.
Yeah, and he did, yeah. I mean, he'd hold doors for students, he'd go out into the parking lot, make sure the parking lot's emptied in an orderly manner. I mean, he did everything there. And I think, by having this administrative position, it takes all that stuff off his schedule, and he gets to focus on creating those relationships we're going to need down the road. We're going to need relationships with business and industry locally. They're going to help pay for this, hope, and so he needs to be out talking to his people. He needs to go out and engage with the community and find out, also not only, with business and industry and community, what sort of programs we're looking to expand to, right? We have 7 programs, hopefully we'll be, up to 14, hopefully HVAC and welding is one of them. We did have a local business leader come in not too long ago. It was a couple years ago, but he was adamant that we needed an HVAC position, or an HVAC track. He was turning down, jobs left and right, because he couldn't find HVAC techs. And that's I think one that just makes so much sense. And that's the kind of thing that Sean as director needs to be doing now, rather than holding doors and going outside, make sure the kids aren't screwing off in the parking lot, and that sort of thing. We are currently in the middle of negotiations with teachers. I see that going pretty well. Hopefully we'll be through with that in the next month or so. Things are looking good at that peak. No worries from me anyway. I will say this though, in the future, if you have questions, do not go to a board member from another school district and talk to another board member from another school district who's not even on the JOC, which people do not know what they're talking about. Come to me and I will answer questions the best way I can. And if I can't, I will talk to someone who can. Mr. Eckenrode, more than likely, Mr. Hout, who is the superintendent of record right now. So, please do that rather than talk about things that other people just are gossiping about. Want real information, please come talk to me now.
The only thing I know is that article in the Denver Times with the Fairfield superintendent, if they're expanding their program over the next because they said he's down the road, so they're doing things down there.
Well, sure,
Welding and all that.
well, see, the one thing we're gonna talk about in our next
Which
meeting.
I know, I'm not saying, no, but I know we were doing that,
Sure,
and I don't know whatever happened.
Well, originally, if I can.
go ahead, Lenny.
Originally, when we started the JRC, Conewago Valley was supposedly adding a welding program that we were all supposed to be able to get into and be able to use, but,
Fills up.
something happened and basically the door shut and the only person, only students that were allowed to use it would be Conewago Valley students. So that's what happened there. I think it was actually smaller.
I know, but a couple of years ago, we were like talking to our woodshop person and all digital photography to do some kind of certifications for our students.
Well, that all left when Tom left.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know whatever happened.
Well, when Tom left, that left, he was fantastic, you know, so we lost his classes. He was only one who was certificate for positions. But one of the problems we're running into right now is because of, well, really generosity of the, she teaches the nursing program. And we have, yes, that's correct. We have 48 kids, I think it is, right now in that program. We can only seat like 25, 24. And we're turning kids away left and right, students away left and right from all school districts. So some people are upset because we're cutting it next year back to 20 couple, 28, rather than that, I think it's 48 now. Don't quote me on the numbers, they're ballpark, it's close.